What's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football. Welcome back to the Winning Drive. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Pleased to be joined by fellow lifetime Longhorn, young prodigy CJ Vogel. Thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate you guys joining us no matter where you're joining us from. A lot to get to on the show, of course. Stevie Lee will be joining us here momentarily. We'll get to him in just a couple of minutes. We got the AP Top 25 to get to. The Longhorns ranked number 1 in the AP poll for the first time ever. We'll get to that. We'll in the preseason for the first time ever. We'll get to that. Also, ESPN had their preseason All-American teams announced and released. We'll get to that coming up a little bit later on, too. And also, I want to talk about Sark's media availability. Matter of fact, CJ is going to leave us a little bit early because Sark's media availability today about 5 o'clock. What questions would you have for the head coach? We'll start throwing those out there. CJ might be inspired to ask one of y'all's great questions out there, so we can get to those, too. First of all, before we get to Stevie, let me just ask you this, CJ, quickly. What are your thoughts about Texas being ranked number 1 in the preseason AP poll for the first time ever? That sounds weird. It sounded weird when I heard it for the coaches poll when it was like, oh, preseason, first time Texas ever been ranked number 1. I'm thinking to myself, you're talking about one of the bluest of blue bloods in college football, and yet Texas has never been ranked in a preseason poll, AP poll, or the coaches poll as the number 1 team to enter the season. I can't believe that, but that's definitely true because I've heard that now multiple times.
It is surprising when you kind of lay out the history of Texas football, and obviously Texas had some really darn good teams in the past, but no, for Texas to be the number 1 team in the country, I think it just puts an exclamation mark on those expectations to come into the season, right? The Arch Manning hype. I mean, it's in full effect, Rod, and look, I think we were robbed a little bit of not having that true number 1 versus number 2 to start the season.
Come on.
But it speaks to the potential of this 2025 squad. And look, I think the sky's the limit. Of course, we've talked about it after the scrimmage. We'll get into some of those details as well. But ultimately, they got a really nice opportunity here to put together a really special season.
No doubt about it. All right, a guy that was a part of a lot of special seasons on the 40 acres, and we are privileged that he joins us each and every Monday, courtesy of our good friends at Hardgrove Roofing. My former teammate, lifetime Longhorn Stevie Lee, joining us right now, courtesy of our good friends at Hardgrove Roofing, and we appreciate them as well. Stevie, how was your weekend, brother? How was everything?
Everything was great. Got up Saturday morning and went out to the scrimmage.
Ooh!
It was hot out there, bro.
Okay. This is gonna be a great conversation. Well, I know you. We're gonna make it quick because I know you got some stuff to do. I know you're on the schedule as you always are. So we appreciate your time.
I got time today. That's all.
Boom. All right, then we'll make it fast. Then me and CJ just go rapid fire here. What were your thoughts on the scrimmage? Then boom, there it is.
Oh man, defense looks stout, bro. I love the defense flying around out there, and I think it was the 2s against the 1s, the offense and the defense just looked. I mean, there was no drop off, and the offense was kind of struggling against this defense right now. So that made me feel really good because there may be some growing pains on a new offensive line and a new full-time quarterback and things like that, but the defense is going to hold it down for sure.
That's been the theme of not just this scrimmage, but some of the, practices leading up to the first one of fall camp. But is that not how y'all remember fall camp? Is the defense always being a little bit ahead? Or am I making that up as a guy that tends to be more on that offensive side of the ball?
Stevie, we are also biased. I always felt like we was ahead, but like I said, I'm a defensive guy. I always felt like we was balling, but that could just be me. But I feel like it's just easier to play defense because we're about chaos. We're about creating confusion. We're about, just kind of blowing things up. Offense, precision, timing, execution, everybody on the same page. I mean, Stevie, these guys want to try to align the footwork of the quarterback in the drop of the quarterback with the depth of the wide receiver route. Like, that's how crazy. It's like, hell no, that's not going to happen now. Every now and then it does, but that's how I think kind of, obsessed with execution and precision offenses as opposed to defense is like, no. One guy, a Stevie Lee, having a hell of a play could blow up that whole damn play. And it don't matter what nobody else did. Steve Lee just balled out.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Well, I don't know about if I balled out, but what you're right about is the offense takes timing. You know, there's a lot of timing routes, a lot of timing things that goes on in offense. So it takes a little bit more time for them to get into rhythm, because it's definitely a rhythm that you got to get into. But for the defense, man, you just pin your ears back and go. You know, for the most part. You know, there's some timing things when you're running a Ed or a Tex on the end and tackle, but for the most, and then some blitzes are timing too. But for the most part, we're reacting to what the offense is doing. You know, so we're always going to be a little bit ahead of the offense in camp. But then, you know, we also got to remember that the team that you see in the beginning of the year should not be the same team that you see at the end of the year. You've got to continue to evolve throughout the year.
Absolutely. I can't help but want to get your thoughts on the defensive line. A lot of new faces. I'm sure you had your eyes on them. You know,
I did.
Aside from being big, what'd you think?
They're all big. What I did have my eye on is, what's number 99? What's his name? Is it 99? I'm looking at the roster right now.
Brevard.
Anyway, he went down in practice, but he bounced back up.
Yeah, Brevard.
And he bounced back up and came back into practice and everything. And what I do like about it is, I think they can rotate in the interior. They can rotate like 6 guys in there, man. just the interior, man. I think that nobody's going to be tired. They're going to, at the end of the game, they're going to be like, did we even play a game? There's going to be so many guys rolling in, because there was no downfall or down in talent from across the line. Whenever they rotated it out and in, it's going to be like, what do they call it? The hockey. Exactly. So if we can get that going, which I know we will, it's just you'll keep fresh bodies on the offense, on the defensive line, killing these offenses on in the SEC, man, because all these guys are big, fast, and strong, and there's no drop off from any of them.
Man, great content as always, Stevie. Last thing, because I know you got a tea time. Texas #1 in the coaches poll for the first time ever, #1 in the AP poll for the first time ever. You played on some damn good teams. You know how much pressure there is to perform at Texas, to perform to the standard at Texas, not just perform, but to the standard. Can you think of a time where there's been more pressure on a Texas team?
No, this is the height of the pressure right now, man. I think we did have some really, really good football teams, really good football players. I don't know why we weren't ranked #1 in the beginning of the season in any of the polls, but we got it now, and let's hang on to it. Y'all know what I said. I don't need to repeat it. So I agree with all the #1 rankings. But you know, it's heavy is the head that wears the crown. So they got to come out there and fight for it every week. And it's gonna be fun, man. I'm so looking forward to it. I'm glad we got the #1 ranking, but it puts a target on us. It definitely puts a target on us. But I think that we can handle it. The energy I saw in practice, it's crazy, man, and led by Coach Akina.
Man. The
98-year-old defensive backs coach is just leading the energy in practice. Is crazy. But the energy in practice, these guys feel it. I left at halftime, but they were running into the tunnel. I was standing by the tunnel as they were going in for their halftime, and they were still, they were talking ball. They were coaches was coaching, as they were walking in. Like it's the energy over there is they got a mission, and they want to execute that mission. Man, it's special over there right now.
Yeah, get me pumped up.
Yeah.
No,
I'm so pumped right now, man.
Come on.
Every Longhorn fan should be. I mean, said that's never been this much. The expectations have never been higher for Texas football, and that's a beautiful thing considering they haven't even won a championship in the Sark era yet. It's just those are the sky high expectations. Stevie, thank you so much for the knowledge, the expertise. We really appreciate it, man. Get to your tea time. Enjoy yourself. You deserve it.
No question, man. I'm trying to hit them straight, bro, but you know how that goes.
Yeah, exactly. No, don't worry about that, because then you're not going to enjoy yourself. Just let the balls fly when they fly. It's all good.
I'm gonna take my whiskey and my cigar, and I'll be fine.
Exactly. There you go. All right, brother. Tell that beautiful family we said hi, brother. Love you.
All right, man. Welcome.
Thanks, Stevie.
All right. That's lifetime Longhorn Stevie Lee. We appreciate him taking the time, courtesy of Hargrove Roofing, 512-645-3202. Reach out to them, offering a free roof inspection today. They have offices all over Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas, but might be the most pro burnt orange roofing company out there. That's why they have great collaborations and partnerships with lifetime Longhorns like my good friend Stevie Lee. Reach out to him also as well at hardgroveroofing.com. Know who's on your roof with Hardgrove Roofing. All right. Thanks to Stevie Lee for coming on. He said the defense. I mean, that's been the narrative out of the scrimmages show, right? All the reports, CJ, is that the defense is ahead of the offense. And we're not surprised by that. Like I said, I think that happens at every level. And honestly, I think the offense is gonna be okay, guys. It's not like the offense is in trouble. All right. But I think it's just more of a compliment, or instead of an indictment on the offense, I think it's more of a compliment to how good that defense is going to be. It is possible that they are just as good as they were last year, which was top 5.
Yeah.
It's hard to say they're going to be better, but that's the possibility. That's how many, I think, assets they have on defense.
It's always funny listening to the immediate outcry of, the defense is significantly ahead of the offense. One, defense is very talented this year. 2, for a lot of these guys, Rod, and you could speak on this too, these defensive players have seen the same base offense for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, Sark's still the one. It's still Sark's offense. It's still Sark calling a lot of these plays early on in fall camp. It's not like they're completely new to this offense either. They've seen it plenty of times in practices and off-season workouts. I'm sure they've seen some of those cards that they hold up in practice saying, I know exactly what's coming my way, as much as they like to change it up. But that's normally how that goes as well. So, look, I don't read too much into it. As long as we hear from scrimmage 1 to scrimmage 2, there's steps taken with the offense. You want to hear about that consistency on the offensive line. That's where, you really want to see that next step. So I'm all for it. And I know this guy's all for it. Coach, what's going on?
What's up, Coach? Good to see you.
Weekend.
Yeah. Hey, Coach, you're on the road again. You want to share with people where you're at? You on the road?
No. I'm not on the road. I had a doctor's appointment, and they had to bump it back a little bit, so I knew I was going to be mobile, but I'm still agile and hostile.
Yeah, sounds like that's what we got from the defense in that scrimmage. They was mobile and hostile, Coach. What are your thoughts, Coach? You've obviously been a part of this process and had to obviously oversee this process of training camp and obviously the build up to the season. Is it defense always ahead of the offense for the most part?
Yeah, I think so, especially in a setting where there's people in the stands, although they're parents and maybe close friends of the who's going to have their camera out, and so I think it's probably by design. I think they don't want the pressure to be on the offense. They don't want a lot of hype about the offense, lighting up the defense, first scrimmage out of the year and putting that much pressure on the offense. I think it was by design. I mean, I'm sure they would like to see a little more production, but at the same time, I think it was very generic offensively. And when it's very generic offensively, it makes it much easier for the defense because they're not going to show anything new. There wasn't any, crazy, bumping and double motions and all the stuff we're going to see, when we open up at Columbus. So I think I would have liked to seen a little more positive reporting on the offense, but it's great to hear what's going on with our defense. And but yeah, I expected that. I didn't expect it to hear as much, not negativity, but lack of fireworks on the offense. But anyway, it's it's a start, and I just don't think he's going to show anything in front of anybody in the stands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say some of the fireworks that we did hear about connections to Ryan Wingo, Parker Livingstone had a good showing as well. Both of those guys showcasing some down the field ability. Of course, we do believe that that's going to be a big key for both of their play in 2025. Texas taking it a little easy on him at Mosley as well. They want to make sure that he's 100% coached. To his point, you don't want to show 100% in which, if it's not just your cameras, everything that you can control at practice, keep what you can under wraps. Of course, that element of surprise, as we talked about, it's one thing that Ohio State will have in that opener with new coordinators and play callers on both sides of the ball. But ultimately, you have a good idea of what this team will end up being. How early will they get to that level is going to be really interesting to follow as well.
Yeah. I think ultimately, like I said, and Sark's offenses are designed to attack specific weaknesses in the defensive scheme and personnel. He's not doing that now. And like you said, it's like Coach said, they're pretty generic. It's basic install still. That kind of portion of training camp, they'll get a lot more sophisticated with the installation as camp goes on. I'm not concerned about the offense. Some people have expressed concerns. If I do have concern, maybe it would be is the offensive line, going to, early on in the season before they have a chance to get the chemistry they need and get the timing, be hive-minded as a group with so many new pieces and some injuries now on the offensive line, will that affect their ability to gel quicker, sooner rather than later? That may be a little bit of my concern, but for the most part, I think Sark has proven we can trust him with the offense. You can trust Sark with the offense. He's going to have a good offense. Can it be elite? I think was the question we were asking this season. Can it take that kind of step? All right. I want to get you guys about though the poll overall. Just even obviously Texas being ranked number 1. We talked about that, but some of the other. And I'm a little disappointed too, CJ. I can't believe I understand why Penn State is number 2 instead of number 3, but why not just for the sake of it? Let us have our fun. We
right.
want to have number 1 versus number 2 to open the season. Why you got to spoil everybody fun, AP? Come on.
It should have been. I mean, one of those teams has to be bumped. I mean, after week 1, you're going to get Penn State or Clemson back into that 2 spot anyway.
Exactly.
They robbed us, Rod.
Yeah. I'm disappointed in them, man. They that's the no fun police right there with the AP. I get it. You can everybody knows you can make a great case for Penn State. Ain't no doubt. But that's not that we talking about we could have just been able to say it without any dispute. Greatest season opener in the history of college football. And they ruined it and they acted like it was no big deal. It's like you could have just made that simple switch. Ohio State 2, then Penn State 3. And Penn State, just like I said, I know why they ranked them 2. You can make the argument, but nobody wanted to hear that right now. That's nonsense. The preseason is all about random prognostications and predictions anyway. And you should have just put them number 2. So I'm a little upset with AP for that.
Yeah. Again, it was so close. And
oh, come on, man.
It's unfortunate. But hey, it's again another big time non-conference scheduled game at the beginning of the season for Texas. Road game at that. Let's see if Sark can go 3 for 3 in the last 3 years there.
That's going to be a big weekend now. We know, right? We were talking about how many you have LSU versus Clemson.
Top 10 matchup. And another 3 top 10 matchups.
Wow.
In the season opening weekend. And that doesn't include an Auburn and Baylor game, which I think is going to be really fun to watch. And Alabama going to Tallahassee. Who knows what that score might look like. But really fun, a really, really strong opening week for college football this year. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah. All right. There you go. Only 2 group of whatever teams that were ranked there too. So they really disrespecting that. I think the SEC had 10. Big 10 had 6 overall. The Big 12 ended up with 4 of those teams ranked in the AP top 25. So there you go. Longhorns ranked number 1 for the first time ever Still cannot believe that in the history of the Coaches Bowl in the preseason. CB says that the teams that I was on, he said number 17, number 12, number 5, number 6. Rod, your Texas team's preseason AP rankings. Yeah. Number 6. Yeah, number 5 at 01 team. Oh, man. That was.
Let me ask you this, Rod, because it was a big conversation point on Twitter earlier. Will Texas feel the pressure of being the preseason number 1? You were on 2 top 10 teams, always in the top 20. Did you feel pressure by these rankings? I know it wasn't as magnified due to social media at the time, but how often did those preseason rankings ever enter the locker room?
They did. Yeah, we knew. It was discussed exactly what we were ranked, and people were and guys in the locker room were anticipating, what we would be ranked. Oh man, will we be number 3 or number 4 or in the top 5 or in the top 10? So yes, it is discussed among the players. It's not, it's not something I think that guys dwell on, but the time when it comes up, that week of it, of course, guys talk about it.
Yeah.
Now with social media, it has to be magnified even more. There's no question, because they get it, crammed down their gullet. So
every like, every tweet, every scroll.
CJ's tweets always hit their timeline, man. It's you the problem, CJ. You putting out that great content.
I am the problem.
You are, man. Your great content is penetrating the locker room. You know it is.
I am the problem, and you know why? Because this is the narrative that I'm going to start rolling with, Rod. It's how good was Arch Manning? Well, he led Texas to a number 1 ranking without ever starting a game. That's how good Arch Manning was. And we're starting that today. I am the problem.
That was a great point. Because that's why it's so funny, because it's so true. We always talk about it. So how did Texas, for the first time in the history of a storied blue blood college football program, hundreds of years of football, 100 years of plus football, how did they go that long without ever being ranked in the preseason AP poll? I don't know how long it's been going on, AP poll. I have no idea. I'll admit I didn't do the research, but it's been going. The AP poll has been around for a long time, right? I'm sure, and they've never been preseason number 1 with all the hype, all those really good teams. Same thing for the coaches poll, and I think you just hit the nail on the head. Yep. It's the Arch hype. It put it over the top. The Arch hype. Dang.
But hey,
that's amazing. Like that's how powerful that Arch hype is, guys.
I think it certainly played a factor. I mean, 100%. I mean, Texas again, they're going to have a great defense this year. We know that. Defense alone isn't going to give you the number 1 ranking, regardless of how much you return, what their status is on that opposite side. I think a lot of these voters are looking at the Arch Manning circled on the depth chart, saying that's the differentiator between Penn State, who returns a lot, quarterback included, and a Clemson who. Look, Cade Klubnik getting a lot of Heisman conversation. It's Arch. That's exactly it.
Yeah. No, it is. And so I can't wait to see what the Arch bump is in the viewership, because the average, Sark said it was 8 million viewers per game on average for Texas last season. And the Arch bump, I think, is going to be huge. I mean, and like Jerry said, he's going to be the most scrutinized player in college football.
Yeah.
Like arguably in history, like every week, there's going to be breakdown on breakdown on breakdown upon breakdown of what Arch is doing. It's amazing. Yeah. All right. Good stuff. Hey, we got a front row seat on Texas football. Front row seat.
On top of this, I mean, life must have been hell for Texas fans in 2012 when A&M had the shiny toy and Manziel's running around lifting the Heisman. It's completely flopped. I mean, right? Oklahoma had their run with Kyler, with
Baker.
It's fun to be on this side to say, okay, quarterback's not an issue. In fact, quarterback, you look at your rival saying you don't have this, right? It's been a minute since Texas has been in that position.
See,
that was quick work, Matthew.
Matthew's in mid-season form already. He's ready. He's like, I'm ready for the season. He's tired of talking season, man. He's already got the gifts ready to go. All right, let's get to some super chats here, guys, and we'll get to some of the questions here. I know Coach Sibley having some technical difficulties, and CJ actually is going to head to the media availability in like 20 minutes or so. So we might have a truncated edition of the show. So get your questions in right now where you can. All right, Rocky P. Thank you for the super chat, Rocky P. We appreciate it. Says, how does Sark how does Sark work on building the offense confidence and success while still letting the defense eat and excel? Does he even worry about that? Okay, I'll just say this while CJ thinks on his opinion. The coaches do manufacture their stuff in practice, guys. I'm sorry, they do.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, trust me, they'll make sure the defense is in the perfect coverage to get manipulated and to get taken advantage of by a certain route concept. And they'll do that. And trust me, we remember complaining about it as a defense. We're like, oh, y'all gonna put us in cover 2 with that route with a cover 2 beater? You think that's a coincidence, coach? You gonna do that to us? It's like, hey, you know what I mean? And so trust me, the defense might decide, you know what? We are going to rebel and we're going to start, going a little bit off script too. That would happen to us. But coaches have a way of manipulating that kind of stuff to give a certain side of the ball momentum and confidence if they need it. They're not going to let one phase get totally dominated and lose confidence throughout the training camp. It's just, trust me, I was on good teams with good offense and good players. And if defense had like 3 or 4 straight good practices, oh, you're going to be damn sure that's going to be some just easy, we're going to get some coverages in there that are very suspect. Like, why the hell are we running this all of a sudden? And then Roy Williams just breaking through it on the 6 route, wide open, and the offense has a great day. I'm going to tell you right now, that happens. That happens at practice. It does.
It's interesting, too, because I remember one of the big offseason headlines was it Hugh Freeze saying that he asked DJ Durkin, his defensive coordinator, earlier to say, hey, let's dial it back a little bit on Jackson Arnold, right? He's got to find some confidence. And everybody kind of blew it out of proportion, saying, well, the kid must be a trash can, right? He can't have confidence in offense in practice right now. They're asking it to go easy. And it's like, well, that might be for a number of reasons, as you just laid out there, Rod. But ultimately, you'd like to have both sides come out of this with confidence. It's just tough when it's a teeter-totter and you can't have both sides of a teeter-totter up when they're playing against one another. So how you orchestrate that to make it look genuine, look, that's just another hat tip to the head coach and his staff, because I'm sure that's not an easy thing to do, Rod. Yeah, and I think they wait till it balances out, but trust me, I think at times they will make sure that they can infuse confidence in a phase. Hey, I'm not going to say they haven't done it for the defense potentially. Or offense. Yeah. But I do remember them taking out Casey Hampton from certain drills, saying, Casey, sit this one out. They do it with personnel too. They're like, nah, we're gonna take y'all out. Like, well, why y'all take out Derek Johnson and take out, best players? And they're like, yeah, let's run the drill. Whoa. Well, on top of that, I don't know, and I'm sure they're not doing this during the live portion of things, but when you go, team situations, well, it certainly looks like there might be about 7 or 8 different defensive backs on the field. When you got Coach Akina, you got Coach Orfe, some of the defensive guys standing about 15 yards back there. Yeah. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like I don't have proof, all right, but I experienced it, and I was on the grassy knoll, like, nah, this ain't right. It happened a few times, and we would almost feel it in practice, be like, oh, we've been whipping on the offense a little bit, or the offense had they had a bad game coming off of this. No. They got some confidence. And which, by the way, I'm totally fine with. Yeah, absolutely. I'm totally fine with. Because there are times that both of us, the offense and defense, by the end of training camp, are both performing at a really high level. And then it's just 2 heavyweights. We just going at it. And I think that's what you're ultimately trying to get to. Because you want to just peak at the right time. And so many things keep you from doing that. Injuries, and like you said, there are certain guys that so you go into a funk at one point, have a couple of bad practice, losing confidence. That's something you got to consider as a coach. All those things. Good question there, Rocky P. All right, let's get to another super chat here. How about this one from the Juju man? Thank you to Juju man, appreciate that. We want to ask Rod, 96 era roster DBs: Brian Westbrook, Chris Carter, Aaron Babineau, free safeties, and strong safety, Tony Holmes, cornerback, etc. How do they rank in DBU history, in your opinion? Now, Juju man, I am working currently on my DBU rankings. Yes. They will be released before the season starts. I want to see it. Yeah, all time. Now, I'm sure they're going to be controversial. These are my rankings based on what they did at Texas, and all of the great players that you just mentioned there, will be ranked in my ranking, my DBU all-time ranking, or at least most of them. Those are some all-time greats. Westbrook, but I would say Brian Westbrook's an all-time great, and so is Chris Carter. I remember the guys like Tony Holmes,
in Babino because I came in like right after them. I came in with guys that played with T. Holmes and would have stories about them, like Joe Walker and Greg Brown. You know, I mean, I came in with those guys, and those guys, you know, they played with some of those generation of DBs right before I got here in Texas, and kind of right before Mac Brown, because Mac Brown got here in like '98. So I'm not sure. Tony Holmes might have still been here in '98, but I'm not sure. But Juju, man, I will have the DBU rankings. They're coming out. I'm gonna introduce them in my Sunday school segment, and then I'll make sure they're posted on the website too, so you guys can critique them and be, you know, obviously. Mostly
my red marker out, Rod.
Like I say, mostly upset. Nobody's going to agree with my rankings. Like that's just the reality. When you're ranking 50-something defensive backs all the time, most of y'all going to be upset about half of my rankings. So just it's cool, and I'm all right with that. That's no doubt. But thank you, Juju, man. I appreciate that. All right, let's thank another sponsor. Thank our friends over at Von Lane before we move on and answer some more questions. We appreciate Von Lane and all their support for Texas football. If you have to travel to Houston, to Dallas, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Austin, you want to travel with Von Lane. It's a luxurious way to travel. And like you, I have also had to make the decision. Do I want to deal with the airport chaos, the general high stress level of any airport experience, hoping your flight isn't delayed, or do you brace yourself for hours behind the wheel trying to drive to any of these cities here in Texas, and then you got to battle road rage and traffic, and then you lose like 3, 4, 5 hours of productivity just because you're on the road? That's not worth it. Well, folks, Von Lane offers a much better option. You arrive at a luxury hotel terminal, no TSA lines, no long-term parking lots, just a seamless boarding experience that takes minutes, not hours. You settle into one of just 22 oversized first-class plush leather seats with a 140-degree recline leg rest and a cabin attendant serving complimentary snacks, beverages, and on select trips, a full meal if you need. And if you need to relax, it's pretty simple. All you got to do is just sit back and enjoy the ride. But if you want to stay productive, that's easy too. They got high-speed Wi-Fi and power at every seat. Fall travel is booking fast. So reserve your spot now for October trips to Texas versus OU in Dallas, F1 and ACL in Austin, or college football weekends in Nashville, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston. Von Lane connects Austin, Dallas, Houston, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Nashville, Atlanta, Memphis, Knoxville, the Woodlands, Plano. They keep adding more and more cities to this list. Visit vonlane.com. That's VONLANE.com. Use the code OTF25 to save $20 off your first ride with Von Lane. That's Von Lane Elevated Regional Bus Transportation. Thank you very much to Von Lane. We appreciate them. Actually, I've taken the Von Lane several times myself, Houston, Dallas, to visit family and on business. It is a great experience. You'll love it as well. All right, let's get back to the super chats here. UT Tyler Guy, thank you for the super chat. Said, Rod, I have full intentions to be at happiest hour and meet you. Thank you, UT Tyler Guy. I can't wait. Oh, I can't wait. Hope to see you soon. I'll bring you a new UT helmet with drinking cups in the side. Oh, if you do that, I'm putting them on. I'm putting that on. I'm gonna do a show in that. I ain't gonna. If you do that, I'm gonna do a show. If you do that, UT Tyler Guy, I'm gonna guarantee you that I will do a show in it with full beers, and I'll open it up to questions. That's probably the wrong thing.
It better have a visor on it. Get that swag.
That's true. Yeah, I gotta have the swag on it.
Did I see something? Texas might have tweeted it today. I think it was a photo of Jelani McDonald rocking a visor, Rod.
Oh yeah, I bet if he is an advisor because of his build, he may have a chance to be like one of the coolest looking defenders on the field. Oh yeah, just the look, just the aesthetic. Because Colin Simmons got that. Colin Simmons looks clean, like he just looks.
Yes.
It's a cool overall look. Period. And now he's gonna be rocking.
Yeah. Oh, Kobe Black. Sorry.
Ooh. You got the mirror visor. That's clean.
I like that. That looks good.
That's nice. That ain't gonna lie. That's gonna be a clean look.
But it didn't hit me at first, and now that I was thinking, I was like, well, I saw somebody in a visor today. We don't normally see that at Texas, but
oh man, it's always a contest for the DBs. I don't know if they still do it. I'm sure they do. Is who's got the cleanest look? Like who's styling? Right?
I don't think anybody will ever beat the Ed Reed Miami look with the yellow visor.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's
the coolest the DB's ever looked. On top of, I know people are going to say Dion, and he had the swag. That
Deion
was
clean.
the most intimidating look a defensive back has ever had.
Charles Woodson had a clean look. Charles Woodson always had a clean look. Some guys just look cooler in their uniform than you do, and it's you envious. You're like, that guy looks cooler than I do. I had a you know, I look cool, but there was a ceiling to it. I was limited how cool I could look. And some guys come out there and they look like superheroes out there, man. It's clean.
Dion.
Exactly. Like sometimes I ain't gonna lie. Like I don't have a lot of tats, but some of the guys when they're really tatted up and they got it goes with the uniform. You're like, man, that's clean. That just looks really good. Like I don't have the scones to do that, coach, to get the full arm tat, but it looked like Kenny Vaccaro. Kenny
Vaccaro. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Kenny Vaccaro, coach. He was one of the clean. If you look at all time aesthetic and the coolest looking DBs at Texas, he's up there. Like he's like in the top 5. It's coolest looking DBs at Texas. Jerry Gray back in his day had a cool look. Jerry Curl, it was clean. You know what I mean? For his time. All right. UT Tyler guy, since you reminded me, we should promote. Look at that. Clean.
There he is right there, man.
That's clean right there, man. Ain't gonna lie. Kenny had a clean. And I think it was he just had gloves. I don't think he ever wore like wristbands because he had the tats. I don't think he really wanted to show out, like cover up the tats. So he would just like go with like gloves. It was clean. It's clean look. See, some of y'all don't consider the players. We really look at a guy like, man, he look cool. He's cool looking. You know what I mean? I don't know if you could ever tell another player that, like, how cool they look, but the aesthetic matters. Yeah, see? Like, I don't think he ever wore like I think he ever wanted to cover his tats. I think he always wanted his tats showing.
I like that.
Man,
Tyrann Mathieu, a lot of the young kids do the Tyrann Mathieu now.
Oh yeah, he was clean too.
You got the wristband here, wristband down on the forearm. You got it on both sides.
Yeah. How do y'all like Overshawn used to band, you know what I mean, with the bands up? He used to have all the bands.
He did. He had too many
he was
bands.
the coolest looking line. Not a lot of linebackers took their style seriously. Overshown did.
Well, that's because he was a DB and just moved it down to linebacker.
Agent O.
Agent O. And the 0 was – that's why the number makes it matter so much, Coach, because you ain't going to be cool if your number ain't cool. Now, you can kind of make it cool, but that's why the single digits, they rule these days, baby. You get the single digits, you know. That's for the top dogs out there. These the guys who are going to be the cleanest looking. All right, UT Tyler guy, you did remind me I should promote our Texas tour with our good friends over at 3rd and Longhorn. Just so everybody knows, UT Tyler guy is talking about the happiest hour. That will be the end of our tour in Dallas on the 21st. Coach Shipley actually has said he's going to attend that one. So you can meet Coach Shipley too. That's going to be in Dallas on the 21st. All right. And we're going to be before that in Houston. Thank you very much, Matthew. On the 20th of August. And before that, we're going to at the Social Beer Garden, in Houston at the Social Beer Garden. And the 19th, we're going to be at Schultz's Beer Garden in Austin with our friends over at 3rd and Longhorn. You can RSVP for free, actually, or purchase tickets, VIP passes at your at the 3rdandlonghorn.com/tour. So RSVP for free, or if you want VIP passes, you can purchase those as well at 3rdandlonghorn.com/tour. So thank you very much, UT Tyler guy, for reminding me of that. All right, Coach, good to have you back on. Let me ask you something, Coach, just really quickly about a couple more injuries for Texas that just some guys that have had a couple of injuries. When it has been your experience that you always have the same rate of injuries in training camp?
Yeah.
Or is it something that some have, you go through training camp first 2 weeks without any injuries? Do you notice that? Is there any kind of pattern to it that all the times that you've obviously been a head coach?
Lottery. I mean, it's going to happen. Nobody goes through training camp without somebody getting beat up a little bit. It's like the lottery in that you don't know who it's going to happen to, but it always happens. That's one thing you can bet on. Hopefully it doesn't sound like that we have anything real serious. I mean, everybody was able to walk out of there under their own power and, go to the barbecue with their families afterwards, and not have big ice packs on their knees or anything like that. I think that's good news.
Yeah, I heard Pete Carroll actually, because people were criticizing his team. They were criticizing Vegas for bad tackling, and he admitted that they hadn't tackled yet in training camp. So that means they went 2 weeks. I don't know when Vegas started their training camp exactly, but they went like basically 2 weeks without tackling. Isn't that wild?
That's pretty new age for an old school dude like Pete Carroll.
That's what I thought.
You don't hear that very often. I mean, more times than not, a guy his age, you sit there and say, line them up, Oklahoma, day one, let's get these pads cracking. And it's completely switched over the last, 5 years, basically. We're not doing any of this. We're not touching each other. We're not tackling. We're certainly not having any of our big franchise guys in any type of situation where they could be nicked up. It's interesting. How often or how quickly do you need to get back into contact mode, Rod? Is that just instant?
I'll admit, Coach, because I'm with you. I assumed you do a little. If you want to scale it back, you just scale it back and just do a little bit of it. But he's saying, like, he admitted that they have not tackled live. They didn't tackle live yet. And I guess they're going to gradually, lead into that. I guess, but we're talking about now college football. You got to play 17 games. You want to win a championship. And Pete Carroll is one of Sark's mentors. It's just interesting that was one of the nuggets that came out of that first preseason weekend. And Coach, I wanted to ask you, like, how, have you ever had, what's the longest you've gone without tackling in a camp or something like that? Do you scale it back to that extent, or do you just make sure it's very specific in when you deploy live tackling?
Yeah, I think you work into it at the college level. I mean, at the high school level, heck yeah, we were tackling from the first crack of practice till the last crack of practice. But, I think collegially you've got to be a little more careful. It makes me wish we had a Sam Houston or something to open the season up with, to try to get some good work in there and kind of get caught back up a little bit, before you really get into it. It's unfortunate in that area, in that respect, that we have to open up with Ohio State the very first game, because you have to be ready to tackle. And there's no if, ands, or buts about it. But it's not like, since spring ball, they've forgotten how to tackle. You got to remember, these guys have been playing tackle football, some of them for 10 years or more, I mean, even if they just played started in seventh grade like Jordan did, Jordan had played 6 years of tackle football before he went to college. A lot of guys have 10 years in before they get into college, so now all 10 of those obviously weren't tackling correctly, and they didn't do it all right from the start, maybe even when they were in high school. But by this point, you know how to tackle. And I'll say this too, tackling strategy has changed a lot. Now that they're teaching them to, kind of trip them up sometimes, and not lead with your head in there, and not lead with your shoulder across the front, your head across the front, and some different things to try to eliminate or lower the chances of injury. So I think they're being smart with the way that they're teaching tackling nowadays, and it has changed to try to slow down the rate of injury. But when it comes down to it, and the lights come on or whatever, the ball's in the air, opening kickoff, you got to tackle full speed, and hopefully our guys will be ready to do that with the fewest amount of injuries possible.
Yeah, to your point, Coach, you don't have to do live tackling, but now the number of different methods they have to teach the nuances of tackling with the dummies. And now I've seen they got robotic dummies out there and that kind of stuff now, that they can teach all of the elements of tackling without the live tackling to try to save you some of the wear and tear. Now, does it translate? Apparently with the Vegas Raiders, it didn't translate to their first preseason game, but I think over time, I think it will, Coach. So I'm with you on that. I think
well, here's what I heard a coach say one time, and I think he's really hit the nail on the head. He said, tackling's about 20% technique and 80% want to. It really is. I mean, when it comes down to it, the thing I see about it that's going to be a little different is, and you can attest to this, Rod, being a defensive player, you're probably going to be a lot sore after that first game, because you're going to be straining a lot of muscles in your neck and shoulders that you normally don't use if you're not live tackling. So after that first game, you're probably going to be a lot more sore than you've been probably since spring ball, because
Yeah.
it's the first time you've got, 4 periods of live tackling, and it's going to take your body a little bit of time, to get, but we got the cryo, we got all that stuff now to rehab guys and get back quickly. So I say go light on the full speed tackling, and just make sure you're in the right position. And then it's like I said, it's 80% want to.
I do agree with that though. I mean, because as
if you want to get the guy down, if I say, listen, $1 million to the first guy that makes a bone jarring tackle, we're gonna see some bone jarring tackles because it's about to.
Yeah, exactly. Because as a DB, I'm secondary run support, like 90% as a corner. Like some safeties are like you can be like the main run support, but most of the time as a corner, I'm secondary, even tertiary. Like I'm a pass first guy. So Coach Shakita used to always try to count how many times a corner was in next to the pile. Like, are you actually going to try to make the tackle, or you just want to get on the film? You just want to get there next to the pile where you actually trying to make the tackle. And he says he can tell the difference, and I believe you can. Whether you wanted to come down and actually make that tackle, Coach, or you just wanted to get down there in the vicinity to make sure that Coach saw you on the film. And there's a difference. There's a difference. I agree with that. And I know some corners, they want to hit. They want to get in. Like Quandre Diggs at corner, he's trying to get down there and hit somebody. Like he is. I think Jay Barron was like that. Jay Barron liked to get in on run support. He did. He tried to cheat. Like cheat his pass responsibilities to get in run support. Like, no, man, I'm pass first. I have to confirm it is not I can confirm that it's run. And then once I confirm that, then I will come down and I will contain. Come down and contain first. Outside leverage. All right, let's get back to the super chats. How about this one from Derek? Oh, D. Wisner. Oh, family, baby. Good to hear from you. Said just happy to be here. If Texas played Ohio State today, who wins? Hey, I've already picked. Derek, I picked Texas. I
did as well.
Yeah.
Coach,
we had it right here, Coach. We went 11-1 on those score predictions. So,
boom.
We'll see.
Coach, you got a thought? What do you think? They played today. D. Wisner want to know.
We ain't gonna lose a game. I've already told you that.
You and Stevie, I think Stevie Lee. Did Stevie Lee say that too?
Yeah.
So both you and Stevie on undefeated track. That is, it's undefeated.
Just play to win, baby.
But I would say there ain't much. I would say it's not much difference between honestly 10-2 and undefeated. Could easily just come down to a couple of game-winning drives in the fourth quarter or something like that. Yeah. And I think Ohio State may be that kind of game. I think it'll come down to the wire. I don't think either one of those teams is blowing the other team out. Are they going to win? I mean, what's the line right now? Ohio State by 2.5?
Oh, yeah, it's dropping.
Is it dropping? Okay.
Yeah. I had Texas losing. Derek, I want to get your question. I had Texas losing to Georgia. And again, going on the road to Georgia, not an easy place to play. That's another top 5 team. It's not so much that I believe in the quarterback this year, because that was one of their issues a year ago, is that I still don't yet think Sark is there with Kirby in a head-to-head. I got to see it first, and look, if I'm wrong there, hey, I'm all right. I'm all right being wrong with that one, but I want to see it before I come out saying Texas is unequivocally going to walk into Athens and leave with a win.
If we got to lose one, I'd rather lose Ohio State because we owe Georgia.
Yep, that's right.
And I think Sark knows that, and I think Sark's got a lot of things that he's going to pull out in that game because he knows he doesn't want that albatross around his neck. And it will be an albatross if it happens again.
Mm-hmm. So you saying Sark's going to save something? We're going to see like a tendency breaker or something special from Sark against Georgia?
We'll have a little something for the Bulldogs when we pull in to their stadium, because we can't lose again. It just can't happen again.
Yep. I'm like CJ. I also have that as the loss for Texas on the road. Texas could avenge that loss in the SEC title game potentially against Georgia. All right, that would be cool. That would actually bring my prediction to life that I said they'd play 4 to 5 times over the next 2 years, and that would make it a real rivalry. But in order for it to be an actual rivalry, Texas has to win, like Coach said. So they got to go back and forth on this thing. It can't be Georgia, Georgia 4-0 against Texas. that would not be cool. That's just a butt whipping. All right. Thank you, D. Weiser. Appreciate the super chat. Good to have you on the chat all the time there. Let's get back to Cisco. Cisco, thank you for the super chat. Says the target got even bigger being ranked number 1. Yeah, you can't avoid it now. Right, Coach? I mean,
yeah. Like I said last week when we were in the coaches poll, number 1, Sark's never going to mention that. Not in a positive way. He's not going to mention it in a positive way. He's not. So he's not going to mention it to recruits. He's not going to mention it to the players other than, that's somebody's opinion. Our standard is our standard, and where we're ranked is not going to change our standard and how we play.
Yeah.
Don't get me going again now.
No, I like you, Coach. I was going to ask you how you deal with it, and you just said it. You don't remember.
It's interesting too because normally, like, you'll see all of the Texas players on social media post, first day back at camp, or here's a montage or photos from camp practice, right? I didn't see any posts from the Texas football account today saying preseason number 1. I didn't see any Texas players on social media today.
Ask him at media availability today if you want to waste a question.
I don't want to waste a question.
That would be a wasted question because he'll answer it exactly like I just answered it.
Yeah, that would be a waste.
He'd probably enter a nice little. Well, I guess he can't do the thumbs up, but he'd probably just nod his cap and be like, "Yeah, cool. All right, next."
Yeah. Don't waste the question.
Yeah, don't waste it. I agree with that. It would be a waste of a question. Cisco, thank you for that. Yeah, the target is. I mean, with Arch there as well. I mean, the truth is, Texas, in my opinion, will be the most watched college football team in the country next season, and Arch is going to be the most criticized quarterback in college football, probably maybe ever. And that's, I would hyperbolic.
Yeah,
right?
Sanders had a tough road to hoe too at Colorado. He was very critical of him when he didn't come through.
Yep.
Shoot, Quinn
too.
Yeah, no, agree with that. Like Sims, I played with one. So he's not the only one to have it, but I don't know if they're going to reach the level of criticism, critiques, just people are going to have opinions about Arch. And I think every week it's going to happen. So I agree. Jerry basically compared it to Tiger Woods that every time he plays.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that, the national radio shows are going to have a bit about, or a hot take about Arch every week in every big game. And after the Ohio State game, I can't imagine there being a bigger, unless something bad happens in sports, unfortunately, I'm knocking on wood, but there won't be a bigger sports story than how Arch played versus Ohio State that weekend.
Yep.
That'll be the biggest sports story, period. If it's good, oh, good Lord, the hype train is going to be, Coach is going 180 miles an hour down the tracks. But if it's, if it's bad, then it's going to be the overreaction to, oh man, disappointment. Yeah, he's overhyped and that kind of stuff.
Well, think about that for a second too, because you're right, Rod. It's absolutely going to be the biggest story of that weekend, and there's another matchup with 2 of the top 3 favorites for the Heisman facing each other. Any other year, you're looking at Clemson and LSU as the biggest game of probably that first month, right? That's how that is every single year for the most part. But hey, you got number 1 Arch Manning walking into the defending national or to the reigning national champion's house, and regardless of what happens anywhere else, that's going to be the big storyline, for better or for worse, right? It is one of those. It's a double-edged sword, but man, if it goes right, you probably punch a ticket for Arch Manning to go to New York based off of that season opener.
Yep, I agree with that. I think you're right about it. Another super chat here from Kabir. Thank you, Kabir. We appreciate the super chat. He says, "Ed Rod, what do you want to see DBs improve on as a group compared to last year?" I mean, thank you, Kabir. They were so good last year. Man, what could they improve on? I would say, honestly, what they mostly need to do in terms of improve on that, I don't even know if there's an area where they were lacking last year. I mean, they were elite in almost every category in pass defense last season. But I would say, this is kind of what Taft was asked about, I would say just playing to the standard, pushing the standard even further. Like, how could you do that? How possibly can they build on what they did last season in that secondary? And they have an opportunity to with guys like Johnny McDonald and, of course, Michael Taft and Malik Muhammad and Jalen Gilbo, but then adding other pieces like a healthy Derek Williams and a young Kobe Black added to the mix. And what can a young Grayson Littleton bring in? I'm hearing good things about Xavier Phil Sami, and he's coming up. So what's the ceiling for this secondary? Could they actually start now to build on that performance last year and not just make an aberration or an outlier? How do you stop regression is more each other.
You got a fumble on the play.
I got a headache. I got a headache.
I missed it. I don't even know how it felt.
That's it. Gary on Coffee and Football, and he talking about, whoa, I think one of yours passes just whizzed by my head.
Oh yeah, that's a nice little shot at Quinn. I saw that by Jerry. Hey, I know we can talk about Quinn if y'all want to, but my point is, thank you, Kabir. I think they were so good last year. I don't know if I can point out anything specific for them to improve on. I think it's more about how do you keep that same standard or push the standard even further for those DBs. And Taft talked about that being his mission. Like that's going to be his legacy, to try to have the secondary be even better. Like, leave it better than you found it. That's always the mission.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you, Kabir. We appreciate it. Let's thank our final sponsor of the program today. We'll come back and answer a few more questions before we end today's program. Our friends at South Point Dodge. Thank you very much to our friends over at South Point Dodge. We appreciate them sponsoring the winning drive. Texas football fans, you can score an easy extra point this season when you get to the point with our friends over at South Point Dodge. South Point Dodge has over 600 vehicles in stock right now, including the all-new 2025 Ram 1500. Get the real deal today and drive away in the all-new Ram, proven to last. Plus, you get employee incentive pricing. That's right. You pay what the employees pay. That's how you get the best deal right now over at South Point Dodge. So score big today at South Point Dodge. Go see them off of I-35 in South Austin, or you can go to southpointdodge.com. You can go check out their inventory there as well. Don't forget, you get the employee discount there at southpointdodge.com. Whether you need a car, truck, something new, something used, a trade-in, whatever you need, South Point Dodge, they are Austin's automotive everything at southpointdodge.com. Real quick, in regards to the last super chat about the DBs, I will say I do think, and even Sark mentioned this, he finally confirmed it. Even though he had talked about this being kind of his vision for the secondary, I do believe they want to play more man coverage. And he talked about how they're evolving to that. He talked about that on the Stampede, actually, with Mac and Vince, that's where the defense, that's where he feels like they are now. He actually said that. They're at that point now. I think that the athletes they've been recruiting at corner and DB kind of reflect that too. They're recruiting more coverage specialists and multiplicity. So I think the last phase of the secondary is going to be multiplicity, guys who can play multiple positions. We're seeing that all over the secondary now. Bringing Akina back confirms that, right? That's one of his philosophies. And I think they want coverage specialist guys who can play man-to-man. And Sark has even confirmed that they want to be a team that when they need to, they can play man-to-man. And last year when they needed to, they couldn't, or at least they didn't. I don't say they couldn't. They probably could have. They had the athletes to do it. They just didn't. They didn't play as much against like Cade Klubnik and as much against a guy like Sam Levitt. And it may have helped them in situations being able to play more man against higher level quarterbacks. So, all right.
So, I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but Dwayne coming on staff is so unbelievable in many ways. He's obviously well known for his man coverage and his ability to teach man coverage. But don't you think also, Rod, it's as seamless a transition as you can get, because he trained Blake Gideon basically. I mean, Blake Gideon played for him. Blake Gideon coached under him as a GA.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's as seamless a transition as you could get. So the goal of the DBs and referring to the question earlier about what do they need to improve on? They need to try to stay at that same level. I mean, I would be pumped if we're at the same level we were last year. I don't know that there's a lot of improvement that needs to. I just hope we can maintain that level, and I think Dwayne Aquina gives us that chance to maintain that same level.
Yep. No, I agree with that. That's a good point about, basically Blake Giddy. You've kind of had an Aquina, protege in the system, and then you get Aquina now, the man himself.
You get the real deal.
Yeah, there's definitely got to be a lot of commonalities between their approach to the game, the way they see the game, their philosophy, that kind of stuff. It's a good point, Coach. All right, I know CJ's got to get going because CJ is headed to the Sark media availability. So thank you, CJ. I appreciate you, brother. We'll look forward to those nuggets from there. What's the question? Can we ask you what you're going to ask Sark? You mind if I ask you what you're going to ask Sark?
I normally don't find my question until midway through what he discusses. It's weird. I normally, unless there's something just absolutely apparent that needs to be asked, I normally find something that he says and try to build off of that.
Interesting. I like it.
Coach, I won't waste it this week.
Yeah,
that won't be me.
That's clear. I didn't know. That's a peek behind the curtain into CJ's process, y'all. He don't go in with a question. His great questions come like literally media availability. He's like, "Oh, I got it. I got something." Do you ever panic and like, "No, I ain't got a question"? Do you ever just not ask a question, or?
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes I just, just sit there and type.
So does Bianco call on you? How do they decide who's going to get to ask the questions?
When it was in was it the 8th story of Belmont, the big suites up there?
Yeah.
It used to be chairs, and LA Chin would be the one that would run it, right? So they would pass around the what's it called, the microphone to everybody. And yes, Bianco would sit there and call on the next reporter. Now it's more of a scrum. So, you got to get
like a presidential press conference, huh?
Right. Now you got to let the elder guys get their.
Interesting.
Make them know you're there, baby.
I'm like Mariano Rivera coming out of the pen, just throwing a nice little 98-mile-per-hour cutter. Last question of the day.
That's interesting. I didn't realize. So there's now like the vets. They get seniority now, is what you're saying. A little respect to the elders. Is that
what's the tip of the cap?
Good for y'all. Good for y'all. I like that. I like that the media lets the guys who paid their dues. Rocky, if he says we need a hat throw if you don't get called on. Yeah, because CJ, this is why I like CJ. Because CJ actually will ask a football question. Nothing against the Austin media. They're great. They're fantastic. I love them. And they do ask football related questions. Sometimes I don't like a question about an actual like scheme or personnel or a formation or specific like site like philosophy about some situational football, and CJ will ask that kind of stuff. Like I probably have gotten more nuggets from CJ's questions than anybody else. I'll admit.
I try not to waste them.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, well, brother, we'll let you go. Thanks for sticking around, guys. All right. Thanks, CJ. That's CJ Vogel, always doing a great job. All right, let's hit Rocky P's super chat. Thank you, Rocky P, for the super chat. Says the teams on Texas schedule that have the talent to compete with Texas have their biggest questions at quarterback. That is a huge differentiator. Thank you for that, Rocky P. What are your thoughts about that, Coach? So Georgia and Ohio State, new starters at quarterback. Now, Texas also has a new starter at quarterback too, technically.
Well, and OU does too have a new starter, but it's not like he's some kid just come out of the bullpen, in front of the lights for the first time. I mean, he's a proven dude.
Yeah. But that's a good. I mean, OU and Ohio State and Georgia, they do have actual new starters. I guess Gunnar Stockton did, play versus Texas when Carson Beck got hurt, but for the most part, they're new starters. Yeah, John Mateer, I wouldn't put him in that conversation. John Mateer is a baller. And honestly, I think he's going to ball out there. But I also, what's interesting too, is that in addition to, yes, like Rocky P says, your two biggest challenges, they have new quarterbacks. And I would say it wouldn't matter as much. It wouldn't be as advantageous to Texas if you didn't have an elite pass rush. Like, if they got a new starter quarterback, it's like, well, yeah, the dude might just be a baller. So You know, you stuck with it. Remember Caleb Williams? Yeah, you remember you knocked out Spencer Rattler and Caleb Williams came in balling. You're like, damn, I wish we had kept Spencer Rattler in the game.
I know.
So sometimes a new guy coming in can be a baller. But my point is, now you're gonna have a new quarterback. You're right. So inexperienced quarterback going up against maybe the best pass rush in the country.
That's an advantage. That's an advantage for Texas. That first,
huge.
By the time you get to, OU, Georgia, those guys are going to be settled in. They're going to limitations. They're going to be up with the speed of the game. I'm not sure that Ohio State quarterback has seen a defense in practice like he's about to see. I'm not saying Ohio State didn't have a good defense. They're going to have a good defense, but the speed and the pressure front is going to be something that even those offensive linemen are probably going to have to be. I mean, they're going to have to be on their toes because it's going to happen fast. I mean, from all reports from the scrimmage Saturday, those guys were so fast off the ball, it makes your head spin.
Yeah, the thought that Colin Simmons could have even faster ball get off is a scary thought, because last year I thought it might have been one of the best in the country. And, Coach, what I also think is going to hurt Ohio State, because you're right, Coach, by the time Texas plays Gunnar Stockton, I mean, that dude's going to have, 8-9 games under his belt. He'll be seasoned as a vet in that offense officially. And he'll have seen, SEC defenses and played high level games. So I don't know if you have that advantage, but you're right. That Ohio State game, not only for the quarterback seeing a pass rush as vicious as Texas pass rush and the O-line, but as Stevie mentioned, the waves of guys they can send at you now.
Right.
I'm talking about fresh bodies in the fourth quarter. Fresh bodies who got fresh legs in the fourth quarter, and Texas potentially going. Now, I don't know if they're going to play all these guys in the Ohio State game, but they potentially, Stevie's like the second or third person to tell me that they may have a three deep O-line, D line, like three deep. Like they have the first group and a second group and literally a third D line that could be really like effective. Like I'm talking about have guys who are high level pass rushers potentially on like the third D line. Like you could have a Lance Jackson on the edge with a Justice you know what I mean? Like that could be your third wave. Talking about elite freshmen out there.
And those guys, not only will they be fresh when they get into the game, they're going to want to make their mark. I mean, it's the first time on the big stage, in college football. They're going to want to make their mark, and they're going to be fresh. So I agree with Stevie. It's going to be fun to see how that plays out.
Something else also consider though, Rocky P, you're going to play a lot of quarterbacks that also are veterans in multi-year starters in the same system. Basically Diego Pavia has been in that system for how long? They brought that system with him from New Mexico State. He was in it Mexico State for 2 years, in it last year at Vanderbilt. They brought the offensive coordinator over. So he's going to be in that system now going on 3-4 years in that system.
That doesn't always translate, as you know.
It doesn't, but it has for Diego Pavia.
Quinn seemed to digress a little bit.
Quinn did regress.
So mean that they're going to be more productive.
That's true. I agree with that. It's a great point because we witnessed it firsthand in Texas. But you will have like Taylon Green is in that category, the Arkansas quarterback. Like I said, John Mateer's in that system. Ben Arbuckle coming over with him from Washington State. He's in that category as well. Marcel Reed, I guess technically now is in that category too for A&M as a guy that's been in that system for us. So you kind of got a mix of new quarterbacks.
Guy that I see a little bit like could fall into the trap that Quinn fell into.
Reed?
Yeah, Marcel Reed. I just don't know. I mean, he's a different makeup, I'm sure. He's made differently than Quinn in a lot of areas, but I just don't know that he has a complete game set skills-wise, to put together a full game against us in DKR because his passing is just so inconsistent, and he's not hard to bring down. You can arm tackle.
Yeah, he's
at least you could last year. I mean, he may surprise us, but I don't see him progressing a whole lot from last year just because I don't know that he has a complete skill set and athleticism run through tackles and to, it's like Mike Leach said years ago, you don't coach a guy to be consistent, throwing good balls consistently. And if everybody says, well, the next year we're going to coach him up and he's going to be more accurate. And Leach always said, you don't coach accuracy. Either they have it or they don't. Either they can anticipate or they don't, or they can't. Either they can make a play when they're under duress or they can't, and it's really hard to coach somebody to improve in that area if they don't have it in their psyche. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. No, Coach, I remember reading about Leach's thoughts on quarterback, and to your point about the accuracy, he would say, give me a shortstop that can throw it accurately, and I would turn him into a quarterback, and it'll be easier than taking some big arm quarterback with a strong arm who has no accuracy at all. And y'all like, oh, we're going to do some drills and make him more accurate. It's like, no, that doesn't happen. Honestly, one of the only documented cases of that happening at a high level is like Josh Allen. Jalen Hurts is also kind of like in that category too a little bit. Like they literally got more accurate. Like Josh Allen was very inaccurate and got more accurate as his NFL career began to blossom. Like that was part of his maturity. But that's the exception out the rule. I agree with Mike Leach. And if you listen to, quotes from the late great Bill Walsh, even Sark, and talking about what they look for in quarterbacks, accuracy is always a non-negotiable. It's like, no, I can't teach that. I can't coach that. So I got to get a guy he's accurate. And then every other coach has their own, other list of non-negotiables. Like I think Mike Leach liked quick feet. He said, no, I need a quarterback with quick feet that's accurate and that makes good decisions. That was what his three of his things. And Sark likes quick hands for RPO and play action pass and sleight of hand. He likes quick hands. He said, I need accuracy, a competitor, and leadership, I think were his 4 qualities. Everybody's got something there. What were yours, Coach, when you wanted a quarterback? What were your non-negotiables in evaluating QBs?
Yeah, he's got to be a competitor, and for sure, and he's got to be a great leader. And he's got to have good body language, because he's a quarterback,
Yeah.
Accuracy. I used to think the same thing. I had a big old kid. I thought, man, this guy, he can throw it.
Country mile.
I had a guy moved. He was like 6'5", 6'6", could throw it unbelievably, but he didn't know how to put touch on the ball, and so he wanted to be in All State tied in and went and played at Arkansas.
There you go.
Yeah, we had a guy named Stephen McGee who played for A&M that was
a
quarterback and a pretty fierce competitor, and so we moved the kid that moved in. We moved him to tight end, and the rest is history. Now he'd kick it straight on, this big old dude, Mason Templeton. He could kick it straight on, and it was always a matter of whether it was going to be a go through the uprights on the kickoff or it's going to go left or right. But it was going to sail past the uprights every kickoff. Straight square toe cue, he could boot that thing, man.
That's old school too, just straight away kick like this.
Old school, yeah.
I remember Stephen McGee got drafted, right? He got drafted by the Cowboys.
Yeah, 4th round. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a good player.
He was.
It's around. That's not too far from my time, Coach.
He did not great judgment when Sergio Kendall sacked
him one time at DKR. He tried to go after Sergio a little bit.
Oh,
he was smart. I don't know if Sergio did something to him that he didn't like, but he got sacked and he kind of went after Sergio. I go, oh, Steve, hang on, man. You're talking about a different breed of cat right there, man. That dude is good athlete as you'll ever see on the field.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. That ain't good decision making, as Leach would say. That ain't smart decision making. All right, I know we get close to the end. We got a couple of more questions. How about this from Cole BTS says Cruel committing tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern to OU. Okay, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't think we'd know that. I do know it's tomorrow is the Cruel commitment, and Texas is loaded at edge, and he is a really good edge defender. So we shall see. Thank you, Kobe, for the reminder. I appreciate that. And we will have, obviously, you caught up to speed on that Cruel commitment whenever it happens tomorrow. There will be coverage right here at On Texas Football and on TexasFootball.com. So keep it tuned in here for that. Also, Douglas here says, I'm curious if anyone else can explain why Sark went out of his way to mention Ryan Niblett Is there any news about him making waves in the scrimmages or practices? What gives? I have not heard much about Ryan Niblett. I am wondering, though, Douglas, if he can be your vertical threat at the running back position in the passing game. Jaden Blue opened up a whole new dimension to the offense from the running back, running those wheel routes and running those Texas routes, the kind of angle route out of the backfield, coach. I mean, those were just, I mean, how many times this year were those? He ran one against Georgia. Remember that angle route against Georgia and scored. A&M, he scored on the wheel route. Ohio State scored on the wheel twice. Those were huge plays because it's an instant matchup advantage. They're going to put a linebacker on them, and Jaden Blue going to win, 9 out of 10 times against a linebacker? Ryan Niblett, former receiver, could do that. I mean, he's a receiver. So I almost wonder if some of those packages, you could put him out there in that regard. I don't know, Coach. What are your thoughts about Ryan Niblett?
I love it. It's a great take. And, if you have that ability with the legs of Arch, you've got a pretty dangerous offense potentially.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's a good point. And like I said, I don't know what combination. So obviously Trey Wisener and CJ Baxter are the top 2 backs, but I've heard good things about Christian Clark lately, especially coming out of this scrimmage and him in the passing game. Everybody knows Jerry Gibson. He's going to be I think a featured piece, especially in their short yardage goal line situations. Tedapori says Niblett is the fastest wide receiver. Sark still loves speed. Yeah, I mean, I trust. He's moved around so much. Like, I don't know what to give with Niblett. I know he's playing wide receiver. I don't know if there's a place for a wide receiver. Because it may not be a place for him at running back. I know the coaches like him because they keep trying to find a place for him to contribute. They keep trying, and maybe it's kick return.
You remember back? You probably don't remember this. A lot of our listeners, viewers will remember this, but Dallas Cowboys had a guy, I believe he was number 26, named Preston Pearson. And he was the guy, when he was in the game in the backfield, they were going to get the ball to him in the air somehow, more times than not. And he kind of did for us what Jaden Blue did. He did for the Cowboys what Jaden Blue did last year. He was a mismatch back there. He had great hands, ran great routes. That was probably back in the 70s, early 80s, maybe. Probably late 70s, mid to late 70s. But same type of guy, and it's just as valuable today as it was back then.
Oh, no doubt about it. Yeah. So Niblett's a guy I don't know if they found a spot for him. I see Bernard Horn saying he's been number 2 returner on both return teams. That's good. They could find a place for him that contribute there in the return game. But yeah, he's moved around a ton, and good for him that he hadn't gotten frustrated yet. He's still he wants to play, and he wants to play for Texas. That's pretty clear. All right. Thank you guys for the super chats and the questions. We appreciate it. Thank you to Matthew behind the scenes, the real MVP, twisting and tweaking the dials. CJ off to the Sark press conference. By the way, if you want nuggets about that Sark media availability, you can go get them at OwenTexasFootball.com. If you're not a member of the Owen Texas football family over there, now's the perfect time to do it. You can become an OTFOG by simply using that promo code OTFOG. For $39.95, you can get a year's access to OwenTexasFootball.com and become an OTFOG. And trust me, folks, the stuff we talk about here, just a fraction of the actual knowledge, a fraction of the insider nuggets you get over there at OwenTexasFootball.com. So please take advantage. Thank you very much, Coach. Appreciate all of your wisdom and knowledge. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to Stevie Lee as well for coming on with us. Thank you to Hardcore Roofing for sponsoring our segment with Stevie Lee. Thank you to VonLane.com. Use that code OTF25. You'll save $20 off your first ride with Von Lane. And thank you as well to SouthPointDodge.com. And thank you to each and every one of you for watching and for listening. These programs go by too fast, so we're having too much fun. 19 days till we kick off versus Ohio State. We'll be here to cover every second of it here at OwenTexasFootball.com and Owen Texas Football, the YouTube platform. For Coach and for Matthew and for CJ and for Stevie Lee, I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Until next time, hook 'em.